All right, hello, welcome everybody to probably your second Spanish Grand Prix of the day. We are live in the beautiful circuit of Barcelona, Catalunya for our version of the Spanish Grand Prix. And no, we didn't plan this. This calendar has existed since before the 2021 F1 calendar was announced. And in some sort of happy coincidence, we've got two Spanish Grand Prix on the very same day. Well, actually, we've got three of them because this is Division 3. We've got Division 2 afterwards, and then Division 1 after that. And it's Mother's Day as well, so you'll notice somewhat of a smaller grid today as some of our drivers have family matters to attend to. But I don't think that'll stop us from having a great race here. Now, I am ISRL Knight. I'm sure you know that by now, though. I've got Ephraim in the booth with me. And Ephraim, can you, I guess, take us through what you're excited about for this race?
Hello, Knight. What's up? I'm hoping to see a very good race tonight. You didn't introduce me as ISRL Ephraim because I had some problems after that. But yes, I'm back on here for a Division 3 race. I'm really excited to see what they can carry on doing this bunch of drivers. I know that there's a very good battle for the championship lead as well. And I'm really also excited to see if they can carry on the same strategies as we've seen in the real one as well. Some of them, we've seen them already racing the last Wednesday night as they had the Division 4 race, but I'm sure that some of them also improved their times from the last Division 4 race, as I know that some of the drivers are well known for this division as well.
Yeah, and we had quite an exciting race last time out in Division 4. Lots of drama, some good overtakes. You were involved in a battle at the front as well for a part of the race, and I hope we get some similar action there. We were looking on board there with Sprunky as he goes a little bit wide through turn 8 and unfortunately invalidates that lap, and he's going to have to try again. Who else is on a lap right now? We'll go on board with ISRL Clark, who's making a comeback there after missing a few races. You may remember him as ISRL X. There's been a slight change to the name, but is very much the same person. So expect him to carry on where he left off last time we saw him on track. Now, this circuit is not the trickiest one, I have to say. It's there's a reason they use it for testing here. It's not crazy hard, but there are some tricky corners. This one is one of them. This flat out turn 9, you can see that car wiggle as he gets to the top of the hill, and it has a little bit of oversteer. It's quite easy to lose it on some of these corners as well. That one is one I mentioned. There's a little bump here that if you take funny, it'll compromise you into the next turn. And of course, this chicane's always tough to take, and you can see ISRL Clark taking a lot of curb there, and that's actually going to invalidate his lap, so he'll dive back into the pits. Only 4 times have been set so far. Craigo is your provisional pole man with a 1:59. Bumblebee, again, he's continuing his streak of setting some pretty decent times on the mediums, it seems.
Exactly, and Knight, we need to mention also that the last 2 corners are really tricky. Some of the drivers also in Division 4, they didn't manage to exceed those track limits.
Sorry, I don't want to interrupt here. Craigo, who I just mentioned was on provisional pole, has apparently had an off. He's actually out of the session. And so that 1:59, that's the best he's going to be able to do here in short qualifying.
Yeah, it seems that it's they lost it. Where you have the DRS zone. That's a really bad trick as you're reaching the 10th corner, which we know that turn 10 in real life they changed it a little bit from as you see on the map. But definitely, as I was saying, most tricky corner will be turn 7, as there's a little bit of a, what you call it? You can call it as a slide. I don't know what you call it, but it's a very tricky corner to get the balance. In fact, we've seen a lot of cars getting off already and losing some balance over there, and definitely it will make you lose time. And right now also I'm seeing that the best lap time is really far from that we had in Division 4, as we have 1:59.
Yeah, it's I do expect them to come down quite a bit. We might not see them come down as much with track temperatures and whatnot still come into play. It is a sunny day though, so I expect this track to feel at least quite lively for this Grand Prix. It remains to be seen what kind of weather we're going to have in the actual race, but the fact that some of these guys early on are putting on the mediums and are trying to do laps on the medium leads me to believe there might be a dry... Oh my goodness, that's a big spin from Xavi Jacques. He did very well to avoid the pit wall there, and yeah, that could have ended his session prematurely, and Xavi Jacques just getting a little bit loose. You saw him go deep coming out of the last corner, and it spun the wheels, I think, on the curb, and the car just went. And we see monkeys there. That's exactly the corner you were talking about, turn 7 into turn 8 there. The car just, it can slide so easily. And he did a good job saving that, because if you try to punch the throttle while the tires are slipping, the car is not going to like you. We saw Sprunky invalidate his lap again, but luckily for him, he does have a 116.5 up on the boards. And Clark is now going for his first, well, it's his second try, but first actual attempt at a lap. I will check into the YouTube here. I think Cohen has let us know, or has asked us if you could turn up your mic just a tiny bit there so we could hear you a little bit better. And he's saying, have a good day. Bern Corpino is saying, hi lads, happy to have everybody who's watching in the stream right now. Thank you guys for tuning in, and thank you guys for supporting us and watching us here. I do hope that this Grand Prix is a little bit more entertaining than what you saw this morning. And I mean, it wasn't a bad race by any means what we saw this morning in the real Spanish Grand Prix, but I do hope it's not a foregone conclusion as early as it was this morning. Now, let's see here. Craigo is still the fastest car, so he set that lap time early, crashed out. Nobody's been able to beat him yet. Oh,
so right now,
Clark with a spin there.
I don't know which driver you're following.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah, I was looking at Clark there, but he's had a spin coming out of 11.
I was going to tell you a little bit of tricks in this track. So basically we have turn 2, which is really tricky. If you take a little bit more to curve than you're supposed to have, you will automatically spin, and we've seen a lot of guys doing that. We have also turn, we were talking about turn 7, which is really tricky to get the best balance out of the traction, and you need to be really aware of not letting off your gas. If you're using a wheel, if you're using joystick, you don't need to press the X button, I think. And I think for the other scenarios which is a bit heavy corner to take, is that one where we saw Clark losing it. In fact, that is, if I'm not mistaken, it's around turn...
It was coming 14. Out of turn 11 that he had a spin there. Yes. That 180-degree right-hander.
That's really, really tricky also. If you get a lot of curb and if you don't get the perfect balance, you will lose out. Unfortunately, this track, you require a lot of downforce. That's why also we've seen most of the drivers that had a very good downforce setup going very well. And I expect that we see a lot of Division 2 and Division 1 trying different setups as we go along. And I think they're training right now for the race for tonight. But right now, Division 3, we have Bumblebee, which is with a good, very good, indeed, second place with those mediums. As if you start with a medium tire here, definitely it will help you to get a better strategy.
Yeah, it's not the highest tire wear, but it's not quite gentle on your tires this circuit. And you do have to be careful. There's a lot of medium and high-speed corners. I mean, turn 3 puts so much load on the tires that if you overheat your tires a little bit too much, you just go a little bit too hard on them through there. It's quite easy to rack up the tire wear. We were looking on board there with Sprunky as he... finally beats Craigo, sets the provisional pole time. Sprunky on a good streak there in recent races, doubly so in qualifying. He's had quite a few good results. Let's see, who else is on a lap here? It's Joseph Cozy, I believe, coming towards the end of his, if I'm not mistaken. He's coming through 11 as well.
even Zabijaka, if I pronounce it well. Right now he's taking the mediums for a spin. He's doing this hot lap with them, definitely losing a little bit of time in the first sector with the second corner. You need to be really aware how to attack on those tires, as you don't need to push a lot. Definitely, you're not going to have a lot of speed, so you need to be a little bit faster in the corners.
Yeah, a bit of a lock up there. From Zabijaka going into turn 4. I don't think that should cost him too much time. Zabijaka's problem right now is that he's already set a lap on the softs. So if he wants to start on the mediums, he has to beat that lap. And I do wonder maybe if he went out a little bit too early and not taking full advantage of the track evolution we tend to see here in Barcelona. He is pretty much breaking even with his time though through Sector 2, so there is a chance still.
Also, Zabijaka right now is losing a little bit of time from his soft lap tire, but also he's on a low fuel, so he might...
Oh no, and he just goes slower than his previous lap, so he's going to have to start on the softs anyways.
Not that much. 0.088 was the gap between his soft lap and medium lap. But as you've seen, they need to be really cautious on taking turn 7, and also right now I'm seeing a lot of people in the last few corners. In the last 2 corners, they're losing a lot of time. Right now, focusing also on Doomsray, as he's on his hot lap with those medium tires. He's going to try to push the best time on those tires. Very perfect balance, but losing a little bit of time in the last corner. Let's see what he can do, as long as he's in 1/16. No, he's 1:17.5.
Again, so and almost the exact same gap from Zabijaka. It was 0.089. So two guys trying to take the medium tires for a spin. 2 guys just barely losing out by under a tenth of a second on their soft tire times, and probably starting on the less than ideal tire. We saw Chris take his car out for a spin. He dove right back in the pits there on his outlap. I think he may have invalidated that one or made a mistake and opted to simply abort it. We've got 5 minutes left in qualifying. We've got everybody on the board having set a time, but still a lot of guys who can improve. Maverick is one of those guys on the mediums. Unfortunately for him, that's a big cut on turn 7, and he is going to invalidate that lap. And who's that behind him? Is that Sprunky
Clark
trying to get a cheeky toe? Oh, he's on his outlap though.
Clark is doing his hot lap, as right now he's using his DRS on. Reaching turn 10, very good balance in that corner. Of course, it's different from the ones that we've seen today, as they changed it a little bit. But as you can see, he's taking a little bit also the curb to take for his advantage. Right now, the last 2 corners that he's reached the finish line. Let's see what he's going to do. He's a little bit slow in those corners. He's losing a lot of time.
Yeah, a little bit cautious there. We saw him. And he improves time, but I don't know if you noticed that he lifted before the line.
He lifted a bit before the line, but definitely he was not going in the best lap. As also Sprunky right now, he's going really fast.
No,
hot lap.
Yeah, Sprunky, fastest sector 1 so far, 10th up on his time. He could improve his provisional pole time here. Sprunky. Not Sprunky, but Clark. Yeah, he went a little bit wide there through turn 11, and it cost him some time. Then he lifted before the start-finish line, and you did mention a little bit cautious through the final chicane. So I think there's a lot of time in the bank for that Alfa Romeo, and we could yet see him start further up the grid.
Although I'm a Division 2 and also a Division 2 driver, I risk a little bit, so I will not be that cautious on those corners. I risk a little bit because you need to risk it to get a little bit of better position. And here we need to say that it's really important, it's really crucial to get the best track position, because there's not a lot of overtake opportunities only in this first DRS and the finish line straight. But definitely it's going to be tricky to see what the other cars can do, because sometimes in this game you'll see a lot of people dropping times because they will not risk a lot in those corners. But as you see right now, Sprunky improves his time by 3/10, and he is on a 1:15.530. So it's a very good lap by Sprunky. I'm sure that he can do better, but definitely until we reach the last time, as we are 2 minutes away from the end of qualifying, we'll see some other guys trying to put a lap. And if you want to see another guy who's driving right now, no, Joseph Cossi is not doing a hot lap. He's going really slow. But I saw Monkeys that he did
Monkeys,
a lap also.
yeah, we were just looking at Monkeys. He does improve his time, so he's going to be able to start on the medium tires. That's going to be huge for his race. And right before we get to the end of... Oh, who's that? Who's had a spin? That's Chris, who's had a spin. And that's in turn 2, and that's a damaged front wing. And that's exactly what you mentioned. You take too much curb on turn 2, and the car can spin. Now... I believe that's CJ Butch, who's on a hot lap, about to start his lap, and I believe Aizen is on a lap as well, and he's on his out lap. So, but right before we get to the end of qualifying, I did want to take you through just the championship fight that we have here in Division 3, because this man right here, Aizen, is one of the guys involved. F1 Richie, who is, I believe, the car right behind Aizen that we see there. He's leading the championship with 307 points. 37 points behind is Aizen, and we've got, this is race 14 out of 15. We've got 3 races to go if you include this one. And Aizen has to catch up 37 points. A victory in this league, remember, is 40 points. So it's absolutely doable. Aizen is P2, but he himself is only 21 points ahead of P3. And P3 is Bumblebee, who's had an excellent string of races recently. So a big, potentially 3-way title fight here if Richie cannot close this championship out in a timely manner. He needs a win. He needs a good result over the likes of Bumblebee and Aizen today, and if he cannot get it, then this championship is going to keep going on. I think if Richie can win this race and Aizen and Bumblebee don't get many points, I think he may be able to not mathematically clinch, but theoretically clinch this championship. The gap would be a little bit too big to overcome, but we'll have to wait and see. It's a little bit tighter down the order, but we'll take you through that later. Bumblebee is on a lap. He's actually set up fastest sector 2, and he's on the soft, so abandoning the medium strategy.
In fact, that's what I was going to tell you. In sector 1, he was really fast, and now I'm looking at Bumblebee. He's going to be in a margin of 1:15.2. Because he had his last lap around 1:16.1.
Oh, he's going to dive in the pits?
Oh, no. Why?
He had pole position in the bag. I think he wants to start on the medium tires. F1 Richie as well, diving into the pits. He's invalidated his lap. Zabijaka coming around the final corner in the Renault. And is he going to improve his lap? He will. Puts himself up into P6. He had a great race here last time out on the wrong setup. Doomsday improves to P10. That's a solid lap for him as well. And Maverick is the last car on the lap. He's 4/10 up on his time. And coming through the final corner, don't go deep. And that's going to be, not an invalidation, surprisingly enough, but certainly some time lost. Coming to the line, he will not improve his starting position. And much to my surprise, Aizen starting at the back of the grid there, not able to get that final hot lap in.
It's a big surprise to see Aizen over there, as we've seen him doing very well in Singapore, the last race. So I think that Aizen right now, he needs to concentrate and take it well in the race, because right now Aizen is looking at a championship position, not to lose the championship for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So your qualifying order, it's Sprunky on pole position, Chris, P2. So expect to see the Racing Point in one of his best starting positions in a long time to challenge into turn 1. Craigo and CJ Butch on the second row of the grid. Bumblebee, Zabijaka sharing that third row. Cozy and Monkeys on the fourth row. And then it's Richie and Doomsday to round off the top 10. After that, I don't remember exactly off the top of my head, but we do have some 4 other drivers there. A 14-car grid. We were supposed to get 15. Unfortunately, Hartman not able to get into the session there. I think getting some internet issues, and quite a few other drivers currently unavailable due to Mother's Day and the likes. Obviously, it is Mother's Day here in North America, Canada, and the US. I don't know exactly if you guys celebrate that over in Europe, because unfortunately, I don't know enough about European holidays, but if you do, happy Mother's Day to everybody out there. And if there's any mothers watching in the stream by chance, then happy Mother's Day to you as well. Thank you to everybody who did show up for this race, and I do hope we have an exciting one. Now, let's see here. Do we have any comments? Cohen is repping the Netherlands there, and saying it's a bit unlucky for Aizen, and it was there that last lap, getting invalidated in turn 7, turn 8, and unfortunately for him, he starts at the back of the grid.
It's going to be tricky to see Bumblebee what he's going to do, because he's really going to start on a medium. He's on the better tires for a better strategy, but if there's a first safety car and a few laps before the soft guys pits, it's going to ruin his strategy. And definitely if he's going to being caught up in traffic, it's going to change a little bit of his tire temperature. So let's see what's going to happen, as Bumblebee right now is going to start in the 5th position. And I'm seeing that CJ, Butch, Krago, Chris, and Sprunky, they're all on the soft tires. So this is not going to be easy for Bumblebee, but definitely he can deliver, because we've seen him very consistent in the last few races. But what can Aizen can do? And it's really interesting to see that Maverick, starting in 13th, he's going to use the hard tires. So he's going for a 1 strategy for sure. But if you have a safety car in the first few laps, that's not going to happen.
No, absolutely not. It is a 2-stop if you're starting on the soft tires. If you start on the mediums or the hards, you could stretch out both into a 1-stop strategy. But as we saw today, you lose a lot of time towards the end of that second stint. And just like Max Verstappen getting caught up by Lewis Hamilton, we could see the same thing happen in this race. Now, Sprunky not opting for his usual strategy of gunning it there at race pace on the formation lap, taking his time warming up the tires. He is still quite speedy, and you can see just how far the rest of the pack is. That might affect him there on the start-finish line, because his tires are going to be much cooler than CJ Butch, for example, or Bumblebee, who's taking, not at a leisurely pace, but taking a little bit more time there. Now, I never did take you through the bottom of the order. It's Clark, One Wing, and Maverick and Aizen rounding out the field. They're starting all on the harder compound tires. We have Monkeys, Richie, and Bumblebee in the top 10 on the mediums. And this will come and play quite a big role, I think, in this race. You did mention how important the tire strategy was. But if we do get a safety car in these opening laps, that could absolutely throw a wrench into that. So we'll have to wait and see. Will these guys take their time into turn 1? Will we see any incidents early on in the race? Or will we see a very clean and respectable start? We'll figure out soon. 3, 4, 5 lights in Spain. And they're off, and look at the reaction from Chris there, absolutely gunning Sprunky off the line. He's already ahead of them. Sprunky really slow there off the line, and he's going to slot into P2 into turn 1. And further down the pack, I see a little bit of wing damage there. We see the Renault of Zabijaka and Doomsray fighting through turn 2, but it looks like mostly everybody made it through okay. Krago's very wide, almost getting on the gravel through turn 3, and I wonder who had that little bit of debris.
Bumblebee, he hit his wing, and it's his right plate.
Yeah, and
his
it
right
is.
Plate wing. It's a really unfortunate event for him, because he was turning with Doomsray, and right now he's losing a lot of time from Doomsray, and Doomsray is fighting very well with Zabijaka. In fact, you can see that the top 6, they're all on the soft tires, and Bumblebee is a little bit behind on those medium tires.
Yeah, so that must have been the end plate I saw flying through there. Monkeys has had a spin at the start after starting, I believe, in the top 10, but he's not too far off the pack. I do hope he's got no wing damage, though. One thing that might work in Bumblebee's favor is that this track is pretty reliant on the rear wing. I know a lot of guys run something around a 3.9 downforce or something similar, and he's not pitting, which leads me to believe he might feel okay with this wing damage. He might be just hoping for a safety car. Now we've got the timing board all messed up, but it is Chris still leading this race. So the racing point of Chris, a good recovery from what was an otherwise tough few races, and leading his first laps of the season in a long time. Sprunky, after that bad start, still hanging on to P2 and not too far off the racing point of Chris. Crago in a solid P3,
wow.
And it's been a long time since we've seen him that far ahead of his teammate. Cozy has dove into the pits. I do wonder if maybe he was the one involved there with Monkeys into turn 1, or maybe even Bumblebee.
I've just seen a very good fight between Bumblebee and Clark as he overtook him in turn 3. Then he overtook him again in turn 4. So there's a very big fight going between them. And as I can see, also Clark is using a lot of ERS. And also there's the one wing, the Haas driver, that made contact now with Clark. And he's losing a little bit of time as well, because Clark now, he got a little bit of unbalanced traction. But definitely this is going to be fantastic to see as they're racing on those same tires. The medium tires are really going well for them.
And Bumblebee's diving into the pits at the same time as Clark making a bit of a mistake through the final corner. That's going to give One Wing the position. It could give Richie the position as well as he gets a run down the straightaway. You can see a move to block there, but now Clark is boxed in. One Wing defending, trying to defend from 2 cars. Not going to work, but he does stay ahead, actually. And it's going to be Clark and Richie side by side through turns 1 and 2. Can he stick it around the outside? He's trying, but going wide, and he's got the gravel. Good save there, trying to making sure that the car does not spin around. And unfortunately for Clark, a few positions lost. I do think that dive from One Wing at the end of the second DRS straight was a little bit unwarranted earlier on. That might have been a little bit dangerous, and it forced Clark to get off the throttle and open up the steering, and it ended up costing him a position in the end. So maybe the stewards will have a look at that after this race, but for the time being, One Wing moving up into P7. He's got Richie right behind him, though. We see Azen, who's already caught up quite a bit, going wide into the gravel. Richie down the inside of One Wing at the end of the second DRS straight, and a lot of respect there from the Haas, but not going to keep him in the position. Now he gets a little bit of grass. It's going to be Azen's turn to try to force it around the outside, and can the Mercedes do it through the chicane? That's an ambitious move, and still there. He's going to have to tuck in behind here. No, he's going to try to force the issue around the outside again, and One Wing not giving him any room. That's let Clark catch right back up to them. We have an amazing fight at the in the midfield here. Azen now with DRS, as it was enabled last lap, is going to be able to get by the Haas of One Wing into turn 1. And I think further at the front, we do have another fight happening here between a Haas and a Ferrari again. It's Sprunky and Crago, I think, going at it. And if these guys fight too much, it's going to give Chris a huge advantage. We already see Sprunky out of the DRS range. Can Crago get by Sprunky and chase Chris? Or is Sprunky going to put on a masterclass defense and keep him behind?
And in fact, right now they're using a lot of ERS. When Chris, he have around 46%, Sprunky have around 30% only. So basically right now, these drivers, they need to keep aware that if there's not going to be any safety car anytime soon, they need to save that ERS to overtake in a DRS opportunity. But as you can see right now, there's a DRS active. So this is going to be the first time that we're going to see a DRS opportunity for CJ Butch to take on Crago, and also Crago to try to take on Sprunky. Sprunky doesn't have enough distance to reach Chris because he's around 1.7 of the pace. But
there goes Crago.
Very good Crago. He took the opportunity and overtook also the Haas driver to take the second position. But as you said before, a very good battle between the bottom of the grid and also the top of the grid.
Yeah, it's Sparky out of the last corner there had a much worse exit than Craigo, and it just gave Craigo such a run. And Sprunky lucky not to lose a position to CJ Butch as well, because that Williams was looking hungry for P3. But all this is just helping Chris here. Lets him conserve tires, lets him conserve energy, like you mentioned. And when one of these guys do finally catch up to him, he's going to have the upper hand. Further down the pack, I do see One Wing. I think he's fighting with Monkeys now. Yes, they are almost side by side. I think One Wing's having some issues here because he's absolutely falling down the order. Monkeys, remember, he had a spin early on in the race. He's already caught back up and now catching up to the top 10. That medium tires working wonders for him. And you just see that the hard tires aren't looking as strong as we thought they would look today.
Of course, One Wing, he doesn't have any RS left, so he doesn't have any power more to spare, but definitely also we're seeing now that we had the first two pit stops, Craigo and Doomsray. In fact, they were the first two drivers to pit, and they're going on a medium strategy. But also Sprunky took a 3-second time penalty, so he's the first victim of penalties here in the Catalonia circuit in Spain. But also we saw that Craigo, he's gonna try to undercut Chris to try to take his position, because Chris was really getting off the pace from Craigo, because he was around 0.8 seconds until he went in the pits. So
yeah, and that's
right now,
go ahead.
So right now it's very tricky to see if Chris is going to pit anytime soon, or try to take a little bit more of a risk and try to gamble with those soft tires. In fact, I don't think that Craigo is going to do a one-stop. He's going for a two-stop. So basically, Chris can, if he can deliver on those softs and try to do around 9 laps, although they are used softs from the qualifying already, we will see what he's going to do.
That's exactly what I was going to mention. That Chris, if he doesn't react to this pit stop, he could see Craigo undercut him, and he does react. He pits right away. So, and Sprunky as well. Oh, and he almost goes right into the back of Chris there, as getting a little bit over ambitious on the pit entry. But CJ Butch is going to inherit the lead of this race as he stays out. And you look at who is in very familiar territory. P2, P3. It's Richie and Aizen on the medium tires. And if they can one-stop this, they're in a great position for some good results later on in the race. Further down the order, I believe there's still some fighting going on, yes, between Maverick and Monkeys, who is closing up that gap quite well. And Bumblebee, just to prove me wrong, I said the hard tires weren't working as well as we thought. 2 consecutive fastest laps for the Racing Point.
A very good battle between Craigo and Chris, as Craigo didn't manage to take that undercut, but definitely right now Chris took the opportunity. A very big moment for Chris entering the pit lane, as he lost his direction and he was going to DNF this race, but definitely it was some good miracle to save the car over there. But as we see right now, Sprunky, he have a little bit more of a better pace and to overtake Craigo, but also we need to mention that Craigo have a little bit of ERS more than Sprunky in this race so far. But there's going to be a big battle between them, and also we need to see if CJ Butch.
Sprunky's had a spin.
Oh, Sprunky had a big spin over there. He's losing a lot of positions.
Yeah, it's watch out on the rejoining there, Sprunky, and doing a good job to avoid everybody down to P13. And what happened there, I think he got the curb on the inside of turn 11. I saw him clip that inside bollard, and around he goes. And luckily for him, no damage, nothing, but definitely a big loss of positions for the Haas driver.
And also, we need to mention that CJ Butch is the first person to try to gamble on a one-stop strategy from the soft guys. So CJ Butch now, he's in a better position from Craigo and Chris. In fact, he's around 3 seconds off them, but definitely he's going to try to deliver that one pit stop strategy and try to take a better position in the track. But also, we were mentioning that Sprunky had a very big spin, so now Sprunky, he needs to think on plan B for his race, as he put a little bit more wear on those tires.
There's a yellow flag in Sector 2, and it's the man who gambled, and that's going to be the end of his gambles. big wing damage on CJ Butch as those hard tires gnawed up to temperature, I think, and he spins out there through turns 7 and 8, and that will drop him very much to the rear of the grid, doubly so once he pits to fix that wing. Richie then leading this Grand Prix, Aizen behind him, and Aizen has fallen off quite a bit from where we saw him earlier. I don't know if there was a mistake or that's purely pace, but he's got a 3.8 second gap to the leader right now. Monkey is chasing down Maverick, who's had a lockup or two in the recent laps, and it's cost him some time, and now Monkey's all over the rear of that Alfa Romeo. Further down the grid yet, I see Chris and Craigo still with a very short gap, but being on the same tire, there isn't really a huge pace difference between the two. So we'll have to keep an eye out on that battle. And I do wonder if maybe some of these medium runners could turn this into a two-stop race if they pit soon enough. If they pit around lap 12 or 13, I think they might be able to make a two-stop. If they pit any later than that, it'll be quite easy, of course. And we'll have to see what these guys got in stock. You see Chris in the background there trying to have a little peek on one wing. And actually, he's going to get a much better exit there. And he's going to have his peek around the outside this time. Look at the traction difference from Chris as one wing dips a wheel onto the grass. And Chris just works his way right around that Haas. And crucially for Chris, now he's got a car between him and Craigo. And Craigo pushing hard to follow that Haas. He gets wheel spin, saves it. But look at the time he's lost now. He's a 7/10 of a second behind One Wing, and One Wing has got DRS on Chris. Is One Wing going for the movies down the inside? And side by side into turn 1. One Wing not giving up on this one yet. Trying to force the issue around the outside. He's got the inside line now in turn 3. And Chris again with just better traction all around. And he's going to be able to get in front of the Haas. Craigo's caught up to them now. And now it's Craigo's turn to go around the outside of turn 4. And again you see just the traction difference between fresh mediums and mediums that have been on that car since the start of the race. And just like that, two great moves around the outside of One Wing. I guess defending the inside line can only get you so far. Great overtaking from both the Ferrari and the Racing Point there.
I think this race is going to take us a little bit of a breathlessly moment because right now we had a lot of actions, but let's take a look around the penalties that we have right now. As we reach lap 10, we have 3 seconds for Chris, which normally, let's say, he's trying to take the lead of this race as soon as the medium tires will pit. But also, we have One Wing, which have 3 second time penalties, which is a little bit more slower than Craigo in front of him. 3 seconds penalty for Sprunkcase, who was the first victim for the penalties, and also Doomsday with the car behind him. He have a 3 second time penalty. Not a lot of penalties in this race, but definitely all these guys are trying to take it to the best positions, as they're trying also to take the best turns on the track. In fact, right now we're seeing Craigo, he's losing a little bit of time against Monkeys. We need to also mention the dirty air that this game offers. As soon as you are behind the car, especially in turn 2 and turn 8, those are the most crucial corners in the dirty air. And if you don't lift off your gas in turn 8, it will be crucial for you because you can really touch the gravel and also lose the balance of the car.
Absolutely. We saw there Chris taking the position from Monkeys into turn 1. Good defense from Monkeys, try to hold it through turn 2, but Chris just has so much more downforce and traction in that car. And Monkeys on those tires that he qualified on and started the race on, so they're definitely getting a little bit worn. We saw Maverick as well. He's on the hard tires, running a good P4 there, but I think they're getting a little bit worn because I've seen more than a few lockups from that Alfa Romeo in recent corners and recent laps rather. Now down the main straightaway again. I think this one's going to be an easy move for Chris. We see him work his way down the inside, and look at the distance he's able to clear from Maverick before the braking zone. Behind him you saw Craigo as well getting past Monkeys, and that's an easy move. So both of our I guess they're not the leaders now, but they are the leaders by default once the rest of this grid pits. They are just working their way up the grid, staying in very close proximity to each other, and Kragel's doing a great job making sure not to lose too much time behind the guys that Chris overtakes, and we haven't seen him yet, Chris, pass somebody that Kragel gets stuck behind and losing a lot of time to. So Chris has got one very, very strong competitor attacking him from behind.
I would like to mention also the fact that F1 Richie Ricardo from Italy, on that Ferrari, he's doing a very good job, as he's also increasing the pace on Aizen, as he's around 5.7 ahead. And also right now Richie is looking to go for a one-stop strategy. So from medium tires, he's going for a hard strategy. As you've seen that who's on the hards right now, we have his pit stop open. And I think Richie now is going to try to take it until lap 14, until he pits, so he can do that hard strategy. Definitely it will help him, because the other guys, I think the other guys, all the other guys in fact, behind him, they need to pit again. So it's not going to be easy for the other guys to overtake F1 Richie, so F1 Richie is going to have a massive lead in the championship race.
I don't doubt it there, but safety cars, something of the likes, could always flip this race on its head. Now, we haven't seen much of these two on the screen so far this race, but Zabijaka and Bumblebee are now getting quite close to each other. And Zabijaka had a great race here in Division 4. He accidentally loaded up his Singapore setup and still held so many cars behind him that we dubbed it the Zabijaka Express, I believe, and unless I'm confusing myself with a nickname from Singapore. Either way, there was a big train behind him during Division 4, and luckily for him, he did get a good result out of it, but not as strong of a race so far on a Spain setup. Maybe he should have loaded up that Singapore setup again. You did mention earlier, it's a high downforce track, and that's exactly what you get out of a Singapore setup, but of course, it did cost him quite dearly down the straights. Now, I did pull up our gap to leader here just so we could see if F1 Richie pits now. I think he's going to come out just around, actually, and does he pit now? He does pit now. He's going to come around about 10th or 11th is the gap. So in the pits he goes. Aizen follows him as well, not going to play any games with that gap, not going to try the overcut or the undercut, just going to stick close to his rival and hope that maybe he can get a DRS that'll catch him up or something on the exit. Let's see here. We've got, we're approaching the halfway point of this Grand Prix, and I do have to admit, this grid is a lot closer than I expected it to be at this point. It's, if we exclude CJ Butch here, who's had an incident and forced to take an extra pit stop, we don't have too big of a gap between 1st and 13th.
I don't know why,
oh my goodness! Sorry, Bumblebee almost hit the wall there, and what a save coming out of turn 9. The big tank slapper, I think he touched the gravel like you said might happen, and very, very nearly ended his race early.
As I was going to say before, I think when I join, it's always a very good race full of action, but also there's a little bit of commentator curse going on. Today, fortunately, not unfortunately, there's not a lot of commentator curse going on. So let's all focus on the tricks I'm trying to save for these guys, you know.
Yeah, don't speak too soon. There's still 18 laps left of this Grand Prix.
I know, but I'm trying to protect myself also from that. Right now also I'm looking at F1 Richie, as he's around 12 seconds away from Chris, away from the leader in this race, but Chris needs to pit again. And he's going to be on the softs, around 23 seconds in the pit stop, so definitely Chris, he still can win this race and he still can deliver, because he's going to be on the softs until the last 10 laps. And unfortunately, this race, on the softs, you use a lot of tire wear. As you've seen, in lap 6, all the soft guys, all the soft tire drivers were already pitted. So we don't want to see Chris gambling more than 10 laps on those soft tires. Definitely 9 tires would be safe, but at 10 laps, it would be a little bit off because you can have a little bit of moment of traction as well on those tires.
Oh, absolutely. It's the mediums will last you a while. The hards will last you a long time, but the softs almost have no tire life around this circuit. And it's come into play plenty. And we saw some drivers taking it into consideration, qualifying on the medium. What's happened here? I've tried to get the rear view camera, and it's shown me another car. Now, what I was saying was a few of these drivers have taken that into consideration and have qualified on the mediums accordingly. Aizen making the move on Doomsday. He's 5 seconds behind F1 Richie, and F1 Richie just so much pace in recent races. He's not the greatest qualifier. He always seems to start somewhere in the top 10, but it's in the races that he shines. He keeps the car steady. And
Grego had a little bit of moment as well. Sorry to interrupt.
No,
but
it's okay.
He dropped off the pace around 2.5 seconds. He was only 1.3 away. Oh, what a big spin! What was that driver?
That was Maverick. Maverick in the Alfa Romeo, and that's luckily for him not a DNF, but it's still enough for a safety car here, as there's debris on the racetrack and no front wing on the Alfa Romeo, and now this is going to bunch up the field, and this is going to throw this race upside down. CJ Butch gets a drive-through. He did not need that. That's insult to injury for the Williams driver. He gets to catch up, but he immediately is going to lose that and get another 20-second gap because he's got to drive through the pits after this race restarts. Is anybody going to pit? Yes. Look at that. The top 5 pitting. And what are they going to be going on? Who's the first one in his pit box? It's Chris. Is that another set of hard tires going on the Racing Point? It is. F1 Richie's going to inherit the lead of this race, and let's take a look at the tire life here. F1 Richie's tires are 2 laps old. They're going to be 3 laps old at the end of this lap. Chris is going to be on fresh hards. I don't think that's going to affect it too much. Aizen is going to get P2 here. Chris was able to slot into that gap right in between the two new front runners. Is going to be Craigo and Clark right behind him. Clark getting a great advantage with that safety car. And Zabijaka Bumblebee keeping their 6th and 7th position. Sprunky down to P8, but he's going to have fresh medium tires. And Monkeys and Doomsray rounding out the top 10. So this is a big moment in this Grand Prix. What do you make of it there, Ephraim?
I told you to be aware on that corner. If you take a little bit more gas than you're supposed to have, you will take off the tick off the gravel and you will lose control. So that is really tricky on these guys. Now also you need to take a look at the penalties, as Chris have a 3-second time penalty and also Clark have a 3-second time penalty. Definitely, I don't know what Maverick just did. He changed his tires to softs. Maybe he knows that there's going to be another safety car. I don't know. But definitely those tires are not going to serve him.
Would it be possible that here? I think Maverick started on the hards.
Yes, he was supposed to go on the mediums.
That's definitely a weird pit stop. It's not going to cost him anything because he is 13th, and CJ Bush does have a drive-through, but I think, he is going to pit again, so I think he's going to go on to the medium tires now. This is great news for Cozy as well, who's going to be able to catch up that gap. He's now in P11, and now I will excuse myself for just a second there, as my headset's dying and I have to go plug it in. So apologies for the very weird commentary for the next couple seconds as I try to go get a cable.
No problems at all, Knight. I am here to save you. Craigo right now is on a medium tires, as he's let's say Craigo has the best tires for the rest of the laps, as the hard tires are going to be a little bit, but also not to forget that maybe Craigo will get a little bit stuck under Aizen, Chris and Richie. So if he manages to make a little bit more of overtaking than he had in this race before, I think, yes, Craigo is in a chance to win this race. F1 Richie, can he manage to also increase the pace on those hard tires? we will see, as he have already 3 laps on those hards. But as you said before, hard tires are not that easy to let's say, use that tire wear. But safety car is in this lap, and we're seeing that now F1 Rich is gonna try to take the best stamps out of that tires, and also trying to I don't know how to say it, but you need to distract a little bit Chris and Aizen behind you.
Yeah, you need to get them wondering when you're going to go and when this restart is happening. And F1 Richie not backing up this grid too much, is he? I think he's going to wait until the start-finish line to really punch the throttle and go. And actually, he's going to go now. And very early restart there from F1 Ricci. He's gotten Chris just a little bit, but I don't think he's gotten him enough. And further down the grid, it looks like Monkeys has not had the greatest restart. I think he may have been in an awkward position in the chicane when the leaders went. And you hate to see that because there's nothing you can really do. The leaders go and the cars ahead go, and you're in an awkward position where you can't punch the throttle just yet. But no doubt, I think he's going to catch back up soon enough. Further down the grid there, we see some shuffling of the orders. I think Sprunky making a few positions right away on this restart, and getting a little bit closer to where he started this race. But our pole sitter has not had the same pace he had in qualifying, as he hasn't shown that in this Grand Prix so far. But right away we see 2 distinct pack of cars here, oh, is that Bumblebee making a move down the inside? It is, and a little bit of contact between himself and Clark. And that's going to be Clark moving up into P5. Bumblebee having to get off the throttle there, though, as Clark getting loose through turn 11. And it's going to give Sprunky the position. And unfortunately for Bumblebee, nothing he could do there. Just avoid hitting the Alfa Romeo. It's going to lose him a spot.
Sprunky is back. Sprunky showing his pace. He have a better tire also. Faster tires on those mediums, but also look at Krigo and Aizen. They're so close together, and as soon as Krigo has the, will take that advantage. But right now also Krigo needs to be aware not to be in the dirty air of Aizen, because he will have a little bit of moment as well. So Krigo, be a little bit cautious, save your wing. You have a better position, and also those hard tires will start dropping off a little bit of pace as well.
Oh, here goes Krigo on Aizen. Yeah, around the outside of turn 4. Who's going to get it? Krigo with a lot of traction there. Those mediums. Oh no, there's some contact between Krigo and Aizen, and I don't know if Krigo's trying to move back to the track too early, but luckily for them, no damage, no incidents, but there's definitely a little bit of contact, I would call unnecessary there between the two. Behind them, Sprunky making a move. Oh no, there's been a spin further back, and who's that? That's Cozy out of this Grand Prix. He's spun coming out of the top of the hill there, and we're going to get another safety car.
It's the best and perfect timing to go for a soft tire now, because who have a soft tire, now he's going to have around 3 laps under the safety car, so definitely it would save him to go until the last of the race. But
they'd have to be brand new soft tires, because without it, I think you won't make it to the end of this Grand Prix.
But yes, as you said.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Cozy there, he was running a good race and got some good positions at the start of the safety car restart, and just like that, he's spun at the top of turn 9. I think Monkeys may have picked up some damage in that incident as well, because he's in the pits, unless that's purely strategy, and he is on the medium, so maybe that was a strategy call there from Monkeys. CJ Butch, unfortunately for him, was not able to serve that drive-through, and so not going to take advantage of this second safety car, because he still has yet to serve it. That means he's going to drop back 20 or so seconds, no matter what.
I think also now it's going to be tricky, because a lot of penalties are being done on track, as you've seen, a lot of guys trying to exceed those limits. Chris, he have a little bit of advantage on F1 Richie, but also he have a little bit of advantage with tires, because Chris have 3 laps on those hards and Richie have 6 laps on those hards. But it's not going to be a little. It's not going to be much of a problem. I think Crego now he have the best chance to win in this race because he have those medium tires on 3 laps and more safety car. So definitely he's going to save more tire wear and he will have the tire temperatures in the end.
Absolutely. We won't have too many laps here, but this field is queued up, so I think this will be the final safety car lap. Everybody's caught back up to the pack there. And I hope for these guys it's a clean last stint. But surprisingly enough, I don't think anybody's picking up on that soft idea. Who's going in the pits here? Is that One Wing? It is.
And he thought about it a little bit late.
Yeah, and I wonder if maybe he may have picked up some incidental damage. Oh, he is going on the soft. I spoke too soon. I think maybe One Wing, you know what? Maybe going, well, if nobody's pitting and I got to pit for the softs, I'm going to wait until later in the safety car to just get a free lap on the tires, you know? And help him extend those softs until the end. But now he's going to have to make all 10 laps, and those tires are going to be screaming at the end of this Grand Prix.
But definitely he's going to be in a good chance to get more points, as One Wing now is going to be much faster than Monkeys, Maverick, CJ Butch, Doomsday, Dabijaka. I think that One Wing, if he takes them well, if he takes care of those tires, he will get through and he can get it to the top 10. Also, you don't need to forget the penalties that the other guys have, as One Wing have. So 3-second penalties for One Wing, 2-second penalties for Monkeys, CJ Butch, Doomsday, Sprite, and Chris.
Yeah, and that 6 second for Clark especially is going to be costly if the guys around him don't take any penalties of their own.
Exactly. I'm going to be looking at One Wing to see what he's going to do on those softs as soon as we restart the safety car, and then I can comment about it.
And keep us posted on that. Richie is going to be leading the restart once again. He's got Chris right behind him and his teammate right behind that. But I don't think there's going to be too many team orders at Ferrari. I think if Crego smells the win, I think Crego is going to take the win. And don't expect anybody to be too nice to Richie right now. Unfortunately for Aizen, there's 2 cars between him and the guy he's chasing in the championship. But here goes F1 Richie, and Chris actually got a much better restart than last time. CJ Butch has gotten disqualified for ignoring the drive-through because he didn't serve it under green flags, under the last safety car, and now that Williams is out of the session. And what this has led to, I think, is Maverick getting a very bad restart, and same with Monkeys and One Wing. They were stuck behind that Williams AI. Now Richie, Chris, Crego, Sprunky, everybody at the front has gotten a great restart. And now Chris is going to be fighting with Crego for P2. Crego not able to make it work there, but look how close he is. He's got Sprunky smelling the rear of that rear diffuser and all over the rear of that second Ferrari. Now, through turn 9 on cold tires, this is where it gets tricky. We saw it happen on the last restart. Looks like everybody navigating through okay there. There goes Sprunky on the inside of Crego. We see it right ahead there, and Sprunky is able to make it stick through the turn 10 through turn 11, a little bit of wheel-to-wheel contact, and Crego is going to be able to stay ahead, just ahead. Some great wheel-to-wheel action here in the top 5. And Sprunky, can he have another go down the straightaway? We see a good drive out of the final corner for Crego, and look at the gap he's managed to build to Sprunky with a little bit of wheel spin, I think. And what this has done, look at the gap between Crego and Chris. F1 Richie and Chris are running away there, and they're in a race of their own now at this point. This is great for Chris's penalty. He might yet conserve second despite the penalty if he can keep up this pace. Behind still, Bumblebee is there, Doomsday is there, Zabijaka, Maverick is there. Clark has lost quite a few positions on this restart. What's happened to the Alfa Romeo? Does he have damage? No. He must have had an issue or something because he's falling all the way down to P10. And if further yet, as One Wing now making a move down his inside, he could be in P11 by the end of this corner, and he is.
As I told you, One Wing is going to be much faster on those soft tires. Unfortunately, Clark had a little bit of moment in turn 2 together with, if I'm not mistaken, his the Alfa Romeo. Aizen, unfortunately, he's losing a lot of time on those hard tires, but as we need to recall that Craigo and Sprunky are fighting between them and not between Chris and Richie. They need to start fighting with Chris and Richie.
There's a yellow flag, and that's Clark. Clark has had a spin there in Sector 3, and again, no damage from that Alfa Romeo, but not what he wanted at this stage of the race. Chris is going to get DRS on this lap. Sprunky is going to get DRS on this lap, but is he going to need it? Nah, he might yet not able to make a move there. He's got Bumblebee right behind him, so I'm sure Sprunky wants to get this move done and to clear the Ferrari. A lot of battling here for the podium positions. It's a little bit of a gap there after that between Bumblebee and Doomsray. 1.8 seconds between the top 5 and 6th place. And you know how we saw Chris and F1 Richie having a big gap there earlier when Craigo and Sprunky were fighting. Look at it close now. The top 5 all within 1 second of each other. 2.5 seconds covers all 5 cars, and 2 of them have penalties, and this will be huge at the end of this race. We've got 8 laps and a bit to go. Lap 25 out of 33. F1 Richie leads this Grand Prix, and he has been for a little bit. Chris chasing him. Craigo, his teammate, P3, and our poleman Sprunky down to P4. It was a great recovery there from Sprunky to get himself back into contention, not only for a podium for the lead. Oh no, Craigo's made a mistake there through the chicane, way too much curb, and luckily for him, that car ended up parked on the track, and Sprunky not able to make a move.
It's a very good also decision by Chris to use all his overtake to overtake F1 Richie, as he had also a DRS advantage.
Chris does go for the move here 15. In turns 1 and 2, and Chris does get the move done. There's a little bit of contact between himself and F1 Richie, and now is F1 Richie going to be in danger of losing the position to his teammate? This could go from 1st to 3rd in just a span of a few corners here for Richie, and Craigo around the outside, and now it turns into the inside, and Craigo is going to take P2, and now Sprunky is down the inside of Richie. Those hard tires are not doing anybody favors today, and Richie down to P4. What's happened to our leader here? Bumblebee is right behind him as well.
These 2 drivers. Sprunky also was going to try to overtake Craigo.
Oh, here comes Bumblebee. Ooh, that was close. Sorry, I thought there was going to be some contact there between the 2 of them.
A very good fight between Sprunky and Craigo as well. Oh my god, Chris now needs to go a little bit more ahead, try to take a bit of advantage, but as you can see, medium tires are the best tires right now in this track, and Craigo is around 1.6 seconds away from Chris. Chris have a penalty, Sprunky have a penalty, so Craigo, he needs to be also ambitious and try to go for the win in this race.
If Craigo can stay within 3 seconds of Chris, it's going to be his win. Chris now has a little bit over 6 laps to get a 3 second gap. He's got to double this gap and then some. And ever since getting released from behind the Ferrari of Richie, he's been doing a good job at in the clean air. Doesn't mean he's he's free though, because yeah, actually they've all been pushing quite hard, and Chris actually does have more ERS than the cars behind, so he is in a very good position. Sprunky there with a little bit of a moment. Sprunky, I believe, is on a few warnings beyond his penalty, so he needs to be careful not to pick up a second penalty. That would be the end of his top 5 bid, because right behind them, look at all this fighting, has brought Doomsray and Zabajaka right into their these 2 are now into the reach of the top 5 and looking to potentially work their way into it. Craigo, Sprunky, Richie still just within a second of each other here. And like my roommate and commentator here at ISRL would say, you could throw a blanket over these guys between some of the corners. Bumblebee, is he going to make a move on Richie? He certainly looked like he was going to have a run, but runs out of ERS before the end of the straight and has to back off of that move. We've got less laps still, lap 28 out of 33, and we can see now just how much more pace Chris has. It's not enabled him to increase that gap any more than 1.3 seconds though.
a little bit of analysis that I tried to analyze in these last 2 laps. Craigo is losing a lot of time in this turn, as we can see him right now turning in turn 7. A little bit of the traction and of the pace from that moment, but he's really going very well in sector 1, and also
oh no,
getting a little bit of the pace in
Chris has gotten a second penalty. Chris is now 6 seconds in penalties.
So also right now Craigo doesn't need to depend only on the penalties. He needs to have a better grip on those tires, as he's going to be around 13 laps or more. He's going to have around 15 laps on those
Craigo,
tires.
He just needs to hold on to the second place now, and it's going to be his win.
And I think also that Chris, as he started on softs, I think.
Fastest lap for Craigo as well.
I think Chris started on softs, yes?
I do believe so, yes. He was not one of the guys who started on the harder compound of tires. That was Bumblebee and Monkeys and some guys further back. We've got a yellow flag in Sector 1, and I believe that was for Zabijaka.
A very good battle between Monkeys, Clark, and Monkeys, Maverick, and One Wing, as they're really in a DRS distance between them, and a very good fighting until the last moments of this race. So we need to see now what's going to happen in the points in that situation. And also Zabijaka is gaining and gaining on Aizen, and now he's in a DRS active. But all the Division 2 drivers, they don't have any ERS left. What's happening in that management of ERS?
I think they just know the win's within reach, and they're all trying to get it so bad that it may have compromised the end of their race here. F1 Richie takes a penalty. That's good news for Craigo. That's good news for Bumblebee as well. Sprunky now steals fastest lap from Craigo. Craigo set it last lap, and so the DRS now is just enough that with the pace of these guys, they can get fastest lap, it seems. As just by racing normally. I do wonder if maybe someone like Clark could try to ruin the moment for the rest of these guys and try to steal fastest lap for himself. He doesn't have too much to fight for. He's currently in Sector 3 while the rest of these guys are in Turn 4, so could see him pit for softs and try to get the fastest lap here. Now, the top 3 is covered by a second and a half. Then you've got F1 Richie 2.2 seconds down the road. Those hard tires very clearly not working great for him. Bumblebee right behind Richie, and he's looking like he might make a move just in the coming few corners maybe. He's been closing up lap after lap, and I did say he was going to make it in the next few corners. I didn't think it was going to be the next corner. Bumblebee up into P4, and now that drops Richie to P5. That's great news for Aizen, who's in P7. That championship gap won't be as big, and it's still going to be within reach.
Bumblebee now, he's going to try to get 3 seconds off Sprunky, so he doesn't take any penalties. Sprunky have already a penalty, and we need to mention that Bumblebee was losing a lot of time under F1 Richie, behind F1 Richie, and he overtook him again.
Here comes Richie back against Bumblebee with DRS into Turn 1, and that inside line is the one you want because it turns into the inside line again after being the outside for Turn 3. And is Bumblebee going to get a run maybe into Turn 4? No, not going to be the case. If this race were to finish now, your winner would be Craigo, and then I believe... no, actually, Bumblebee and Richie have fallen off Sprunky's penalty because of that battle they've been having. And so I believe your podium would be Craigo, Sprunky, Bumblebee at the moment. This is bad news for Chris, who's just not able to break away from these guys.
I think Richie will be in the podium because the leader, Chris, he has 6 second size penalty, no?
But Bumblebee would pass him.
Yes, Bumblebee would pass him.
Sorry?
So definitely Craigo will be first, second Sprunky, and third Bumblebee. Chris will lose even the podium.
I believe so, unless this gap gets bigger. It is, if we look at gap to leader right now, Bumblebee currently has a 5.1 second gap to Chris. And with only a lap and a bit to go there, we're on lap 32 out of 33. This gap is shrinking as Bumblebee gets DRS down this straightaway. Is he going to launch one down the inside? Oh, he thought about it. Richie gave him room. Great respect there from the Ferrari. But unfortunately, not enough of a run to make a move there. He is going to try to force the issue around the outside of turn 3, and that turns around the outside of turn 4, and Bumblebee does get the position this time, and this time I think he's got enough of a distance to the long start-finish straightaway to not risk getting overtaken by Richie. As it stands, 5.2 second the gap between Bumblebee and our leader. He would finish on the podium. F1 Richie would finish ahead of would finish in P5 where he is right now because he's got a 3-second penalty himself. If by some miracle Bumblebee can close that gap up to Sprunky, he could yet still second place, but we'll have to see. Look at how close it is at the front though as we approach the start of the final lap, and the top 3 are so close together. And unfortunately for Chris, he was hoping they'd be the exact opposite of so close together, because his 6 seconds are not going to be they're not going to be little enough to hold on to the win. Sorry, I don't know how to speak. Craigo down the inside. Chris fighting back though, and Craigo forced to back out of that one. Look how close Sprunky is to the rear Craigo, and that could have ended badly for the both of them. Craigo and Sprunky don't really need to fight here because they've got the win in the bag. Craigo's got the win in the bag. Sprunky's got P2 in the bag. They got to just slot in behind each other and stop losing time, because Bumblebee is now within at 4 seconds behind our leader, and could be within, if we look at the intervals, just outside of 3 seconds to Sprunky. 3.03, 3.00. It looks like Bumblebee might steal that position from Sprunky, as Chris is going to hold on to this lead still through Sector 2. And I think Craigo's realized that the win's in the bag for him, because he hasn't attacked as hard on this lap. Chris coming through these final couple corners and this very much hated chicane on to the start-finish straight. Crossing the line first, it's going to be Chris, but taking the win is going to be Craigo, and Sprunky taking P2. Bumblebee, I believe, yes, going to take P2 away from Sprunky. Sprunky P3, Chris P4, Richie P5. Doomsray with a great P6 result. I'm sure he's going to be quite happy with that. Aizen right behind there in P7. Not the haul of points he wanted, I think, but I'm sure he's going to be happy that his championship hopes are still alive. Zabi Xhaka with an 8th place finish, who he's going to be quite happy about that one. Monkeys P9, that's a good recovery after being dead last there on that last safety car restart. One Wing not able to make those soft tires work. P10, Maverick stealing the fastest lap on the last lap of the race. And the extra point goes to him then. And Clark going to be crossing the line, P12 there. And wow, that's going to be the end of our Grand Prix. And what a race that was. And we had action from the start to the finish thanks to some well-timed safety cars and some very clean, respectful driving. And Ephraim, I don't know about you, I quite enjoyed that one. And it's, yeah. Definitely one of the better Division 3 races in a while, despite not having as many drivers as usual.
Do you have a bottle of water next to you by any chance?
I only have the empty Red Bull can I've been drinking through this Grand Prix.
So that's why you have all this energy. Okay.
Yeah. It's the only reason I'm still alive right now.
Definitely Maverick got inspired by Verstappen to do that type of hold my position. I'm going for a late pit stop. Yes, he did it. He managed to steal that point. I don't know who had the fastest lap at that moment, but definitely Sprunky, we need to mention. He was so frustrated after Chris and Craigo. He lost a lot of time in the last 2 corners, and in fact he lost the position to Bumblebee, as Bumblebee managed to be the most cleanest driver that we had, because he didn't have any penalties. And in fact, the only 2 drivers that doesn't have any penalties were Maverick and Bumblebee. But well done to Craigo, he delivered on that Ferrari. Maybe also we need to mention that the battle between Richie and Craigo between the Ferrari drivers. Lost a little bit more of the tire temperature of F1 Richie, so he dropped down a little bit of the place. But still, 5th place is better for him in the championship. He's still leading the championship, yes?
Richie is still leading the championship, yes. I believe that the gap has actually gone a tiny bit bigger, and if I'm not mistaken, I think it's going to be around 43 points, the gap between Richie and Aizen right now.
And so still manageable.
We got 2 races to go. We've got COTA next week. We're in the US of A, and then Brazil for our finale. So 2 great circuits coming up. We do hope we're going to get some great action there as well. We should try to get Craigo, Bumblebee, and Sprunky into this party if you want to send them some invites for a quick interview. And yeah, what a race we just had. It was a pleasure to broadcast it with you while we wait for our podium sitters and our winner to join this party. I do want to thank everybody who's tuned in to this Grand Prix and who's watched us race here. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe and like the stream, and click the links in the description for our sponsors and other social media pages. If you want to race, make sure to send one of our pages a DM. We'll get you into the race. We are currently looking for drivers for Season 5, which will start on F1 2021. If you enjoyed this, then don't go anywhere. We've got 2 more races today. And if you love Spain, then boy, I've got some great news for you. They're both there. Division 2 starts in 40 minutes. And after that, it's Division 1, a packed day of racing here in Barcelona, Catalunya. And if this race is anything to go by, I think we're going to have an excellent weekend of racing. So I guess Sprunky is joined, and we won't waste any time. We'll get started with you there. You got pole position on a very, very quick lap, and it looks like you just weren't able to get started off the line. Can you take us through that start and what happened and how it affected the rest of your race?
Yeah, hi. I had a good qualifying session. Chris had a much better start than I had. It overtook me in the first 2 seconds, and yeah, throughout the race I didn't have so much pace. Then I spun, and I lost too many positions. I think I was 13th. I'm not sure. Then I was lucky with the safety car because I had to pit, and then everyone else had too. So I found my pace again, and I'm glad for P3 actually, because it could have been P2, but I'm happy with P3.
And yeah, you were sticking right to the leaders there at the end of this race. Unfortunately, that 3-second penalty, not able to clinch P2, but you did manage to stay on the podium, like you said. Was there any point in towards the end there where you thought you might be able to get in front and clear the gap to win this thing?
Not really to win, but I had Krago in front of me, and we were coming towards the chicane, like on the other side of the track, and he accidentally turned into me. So I didn't see him anymore. Then I found out he was like beside me the whole time. And,
oh yeah.
Yeah. There I thought I could be P2, but then I couldn't overtake him anymore. And
I think we may have gotten part of that on the stream. It was great battle that you were involved in for much of this race, and despite the penalty, and it's still a P3. That's a solid haul of points, and it's a solid race overall. You were in the hunt pretty much the whole way through.
Yeah, I'm totally soaked. It was a hard race.
And yeah, it did look very intense. Ephraim, I don't know if you have any questions for Sprunky.
Yeah, I would like to congratulate Sprunky on improving his race from last race on Wednesday, because definitely on Wednesday he was so unlucky. But definitely I think that Sprunky also was a little bit frustrated in the last few laps, as he was held by the top 2. And he lost a little bit of time to Bumblebee, because Bumblebee was really looking that he's going to be fourth in this race, and in fact, in third in this race. And in fact, he took your position. So, how do you feel about it?
Well, I mean, I was kind of pissed because it was a weird move to do, but it worked out. So I'm not really like looking into that. So yeah.
So very good. Okay. Also, Bumblebee is here. Yes, Knight.
I believe so. Yeah. Do you want to lead the interview for him?
So Bumblebee, are you listening to us?
Yeah, I'm here.
So first of all, well done for being one of the cleanest drivers that we've seen on track today, because we've seen also that you didn't get any penalty. How did you manage to not get any penalty, as there were a lot of corners which are tricky in this race to not get a penalty?
Just be careful. No, I pushed pretty hard at the last few laps, but yeah, just enough on track to get a free pass for it.
And do you think that the battle with Richie was a little bit tough, because you had the better tires than Richie, because Richie was on the hard tires? How come you didn't manage to overtake him? We know that you use a lot of DRS and ERS, but unfortunately you were overtaking him in turn 1, and he gets you again in turn 2 for several times.
Yeah, it's Richie and I are pretty equal, I think, and we both know what we can do, and we both are still careful for each other, so don't want to do too much.
Exactly. I think you gave him enough space, so well done for that, and well done also for your clean racing, and I wish you good luck for the next 2 races also. Knight, do you have any questions for Bumblebee?
I mean, not a whole ton of questions. Just some congratulations there on that race. Once again, qualifying there on the mediums. You've shown amazing pace in qualifying on the medium tires. I did see, though, we were on board with you. You were half a tenth. Or half a second, sorry, up on your time on your final outlap there and pitting. Is that are you planning on just qualifying on the mediums there for the rest of the season?
Well, depends. If I drop too far back, then I will have to qualify on the softs.
I don't think you have to. I've seen your pace the last few races. You're qualifying in the top 5 on the medium tires.
Yeah, I was afraid that I was dropping out of the top 5 now. That's why I made a run on the softs. And I also saw that I maybe could have pole, but medium works better for me.
It certainly was a great effort from you there. Congratulations again on the podium. Unfortunately, Craigo, I don't think he's joined our party, has he?
Did you invite him? Because I didn't manage to invite him yet.
I have not, because I've only had the cars up. But I mean, it's okay. It's he hasn't joined in the past either, so we'll just I think get ready for Division 2 and carry on here with our day of racing. So thank you guys if you've tuned in, and thank you guys if you've watched this race. Like I mentioned earlier, if you're still here by some chance and you haven't liked or subscribed or anything, don't forget to do so. We'll see you in just over half an hour. Yeah, just over half an hour for Division 2. Same track, same channel. Stay. Don't go too far, and we'll see you very soon, guys. And congratulations again on the podium sitters and our winner. And on behalf of myself, ISRL Knight, and I know he hates it when I call him that, but ISRL Ephraim, no, I'm kidding, just Ephraim, and the entire team there at ISRL Esports, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next stream.